No doubt, one of the worst feelings in the world is when your all-time favorite TV show gets canceled. Think Chappelle's Show, Freaks and Geeks, Arrested Development, Hannibal, Orange is the New Black, etc. But there's nothing quite like having your favorite TV show canceled twice. Well, that's what happened to the fans of Longmire, a modern western based on a best-selling series of book by Craig Johnson. The popular TV show stars Australian actor Robert Taylor as Walt Longmire, the dedicated old-school sheriff of the fictional Absaroka County in Wyoming. The series follows the adventures of Walt and his small staff, including Deputy Vic Moretti, played by Katie Sackhoff, as they investigate the many various crimes throughout Walt's jurisdiction. The series debuted on A&E in 2012, but was then canceled after just 3 seasons before being saved by Netflix, becoming one of the lucky few to cheat death. But all good things must come to an end, and after 3 additional seasons on Netflix, Longmire came to another dramatic climax in 2017 after just 6 seasons. But why was the show canceled for good? Well, listen closely as we deep dive into Longmire's history on A&E and look at some of the factors which caused the drama series to get canceled for good. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. First up, the older demographic. One of the primary reasons a TV series gets canceled is because no one's watching it. However, this wasn't true for Longmire, as the show's second season averaged 6 million viewers per episode on A&E, making it the network's most watched original series in history. But at the same time as the show's cancellation, ratings had dropped significantly. The season 3 finale, for instance, averaged just 3.7 million viewers and a 0.06 in the coveted demographic of adults aged 18 through 49. While the latter number is a bit lackluster, the former is more than respectable. In contrast, Mad Men had an average viewership that never topped 3 million, while Breaking Bad's first 4 seasons never saw more than 2 million apiece. It wasn't until the latter series arrived on Netflix that the new seasons airing on AMC started seeing an increase in viewership. So even if Longmire's ratings had dropped over time, it was still a relative surprise to see A&E cancel the show. Although Deadline reports that possible explanations for the network dropping the hit series after just 3 seasons was that the show's audience was trending towards the older audiences, which, as we know, is an issue because typically advertisers prefer younger viewers. Plus, it was also produced by an outside studio, meaning it wasn't as lucrative for the network. Number 2, the show had simply run its course. After the show's 6th season, it had already covered up much of the source material from Johnson's best-selling series of novels that inspired the show. So rather than attempting to move beyond the original story, it's possible that the writers came to a decision to just call it a day instead. There's also some speculation that the move is the result of a shift in behind-the-scenes strategies going on at A&E as well as Netflix. At A&E specifically, executives were allegedly pushing for more control over their programs and, perhaps more importantly, a larger profit margin. As such, they supposedly want to focus on putting together projects they own as well as air. That's obviously the ideal in theory, but it's hard to see why they couldn't just phase in the plan as they start to generate new content, as opposed to blowing the entire thing up and starting immediately. Simply put, all good things must come to an end, and maybe it was time for Longmire's demise. Next, actors' contracts. Another possibility for why the show may have been canceled by Netflix is due to the actors' contracts. Many contracts these days are 4 to 6 seasons, and while there's no real evidence to suggest that this was the culprit, after all, plenty of shows have run longer than 6 seasons as actors have signed new contracts over the years, it's possible that Taylor and/or other actors had no real desire to sign new contracts in order to keep the show alive. Also, shows tend to get more expensive the deeper into it they get, largely because of all these contracts with the actors of the show. An example of this is when the popular NBC series Manifest got canceled after just 3 seasons due to the show's inability to bring back the cast when their contracts were officially up. So this definitely could have played a role in the cancellation of Longmire as well. Number 4, where are the Longmire actors now? Some members of the cast of the A&E and Netflix series can be seen in other upcoming series, have starred on shows that are currently streaming, or might have guest starred on another one of your favorite shows. For example, Robert Taylor, Sheriff Walt Longmire, starred in the movie The Meg following his role in Longmire, and he most recently appeared in an episode of Dolly Parton's Heartstrings on Netflix in 2019. He also had roles in the 2019 films Into the Ashes and Blood Vessel. Katie Sackhoff, Victoria Vic Moretti, recurred in The Flash, Season 4 as Amunet Black, and has lent her voice to characters on Robot Chicken and Star Wars The Clone Wars. She most recently appeared in an episode of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian and led the way in the Netflix sci-fi series Another Life. Lou Diamond Phillips, that's Henry Standing Bear, has guest starred on Graves, Criminal Minds, NCIS New Orleans, Orleans, Goliath, and Blue Bloods. He has also voiced the character of Victor Delgado in Disney's Elena of Avalor and can now be seen on the Fox hit series Prodigal Son. Cassidy Freeman, or Katie Longmire, has recurred on Doubt and NCIS New Orleans alongside her fellow castmate Phillips, and she currently stars in the HBO hit series The Righteous Gemstones. Also, Adam Barley, who's the Ferg, has guest starred on American Housewife, Love, Death, and Robots. He most recently appeared in an episode of CBS's All Rise in 2020. Luann Stevens, or Ruby, hasn't had any role since Longmire, but has starred in the tremendously popular NBC series Friday Night Lights as Miss Saracen from 2006 to 2011. Prior to this, she first appeared in Instinct in 1999 and Dr. T and the Woman in 2000. Bailey Chase, or Branch Connolly, has guest starred on Chicago PD, Lucifer, Grimm, Twin Peaks, and Wisdom of the Crowd. He has also recurred on 24 Legacy and Queen of the South, as well as his most recent appearance in an episode of SWAT on CBS and The Rookie on ABC. Whereas A. Martinez, or Jacob Nighthorse, was recurring on Days of Our Lives while working on Longmire, at the end of the Netflix series, he guest starred on Queen of the South. And finally, Zan McCarlin has had various recurring roles, including his appearances in Westworld, Queen of the South, and AMC's The Sun. He can next be seen on National Geographic's Barkskins. And finally, if Longmire does come back, what stories could be told? Longmire is based on author Craig Johnson's mystery novels telling the story of Walt Longmire, a sheriff in the fictional county of Absaroka in Wyoming. In the final season, we get to see a jam-packed confrontation between Walt and the two obstacles in his life, the Irish mob and the Malachi Stand. After the brain and brawl clash in an epic battle, we find Malachi dead. At the end of Longmire Season 6, the extended finale episode, Goodbye Is Always Implied, connected all of the loose ends, and Walt retired from his post as sheriff with his daughter taking over. Walt and Vic decided to live together and support each other, as it was clear that both of them can't fully recover from the loss of their loved ones. For Walt, he lost his wife, and for Vic, her miscarried child. The last novel was released in 2017 and was given the title The Western Star. This only shows that Walt Longmire has more adventures ahead of the series and could have continued on with more source material to base on. Carter Matt shares some of the events in two of the most important characters' lives that could have transferred over to Season 7 had the show carried on. For Walt, played by Robert Taylor, the end of the series showed him retiring from his duties as the sheriff. With that being said, hanging his sheriff badge up could also indicate that he's going to look to contribute to society in other ways. Had the series continued on for a Season 7, it's widely speculated that Walt would have carried his own investigation on crimes that happened in the county, in which case he would be working independently and he would have been able to set his own rules. There's also the fact that he and Vic decided to live together, and so a new season of Longmire would provide an exceptional avenue to explore the lives of these two intricate characters. Vic could also be a much more important person in the sheriff's department, as she would have likely carried on Walt's legacy. Fans would love to see what Longmire Season 7 would be like, but unfortunately, that was the end of the Netflix series. Although, the future looks bright as talk of a movie have become rampant in recent years, and even Robert Taylor revealed that a Longmire movie is being discussed. And with that, we wrap up the video. Thanks for watching.